Hi, my name is Susan Vaughn, and I teach classes on reality creation and conscious healing. The name of this talk is Let the Revolution Begin. The world is in the midst of a tremendous transition, for we are moving out of a belief system that creates victim consciousness and into a belief system that creates higher consciousness. As we do this, the world is becoming polarized. In one polarity stands a group of deeply spiritual people whose entire goal in life is to consciously evolve. These people all pray and commune with God on a regular basis, albeit in a variety of forms. Many have been on a conscious spiritual journey for decades. They love the earth and all her creatures and would never do anything to harm her. All are motivated by higher values and have incarnated at this time in history to help humanity evolve, as they themselves evolve their own consciousness. At the other end of the polarity stands the people of greed who are here to selfishly create domination. They are the corrupt leaders of corrupt corporations like the pharmaceutical industry and Monsanto. If you are like I am, you may have watched YouTube videos like Zeitgeist and Thrive that have exposed the corruption within our government and the banking system that is rampant the world over. Instead of being altruistic in nature, the people in this polarity don't care anything about either the needs of the earth or of other people. Rather, they want total access to all the world's resources so that they can wield complete power over the masses. In the middle between these two extreme polarities are the unconscious masses who are at various stages of waking up. Some are a little bit awake in some areas while others are completely asleep. They come from all classes, all walks of life, all religious, agnostic, and atheistic backgrounds, and all educational levels, from the highest to the lowest. The unconscious masses are unconscious not because they are incapable of awakening, but because they tenaciously hold on to the misinformation they've been given about reality creation. Now that it is 2012, it seems to me that the two polarities are more extreme than ever before. In fact, it almost seems to me that the dark is getting darker while the light is getting lighter. The dark is getting darker not because those who are selfish and greedy are darker today than they were in the past. Rather, it has to do with the fact that our superior technology allows us to be far more destructive much faster than ever before. By the same token, the light is getting lighter for exactly the same reason. Because of the information highway, people have nearly instant access to the information that enlightens. Through prayer and a conscious intent to evolve, right-minded people everywhere are now capable of drawing to themselves the information they need to accomplish their goal almost instantly. All they need is the right key words to make it so. In a sense, we are in the midst of a cosmic battle of good and evil that is of epic proportions. In this battle, the stakes are quite high. On the one hand, if evil prevails, we will lose all of our human freedoms, even the freedom to choose to be healthy, as GMOs become a staple part of our diets. Even the air we breathe will become our enemy, as it fills with the bacteria, viruses, and heavy metals that come from pollutants of all kinds, including chemtrails. In addition, there will only be a small middle class. The few at the top will get to dictate how the masses at the bottom get to live their lives. If these evil deed-doers succeed in their plans, the masses won't even know they are enslaved, for the media that could enlighten them will continuously feed them the same old misinformation. On the other hand, if good prevails, we will usher in a state of consciousness that has the potential of creating monumental change for the better, in which all aspects of human life improve. As we move out of a belief system that generates victim consciousness and into a belief system that generates higher consciousness, it is important to become aware of not only the light, but the dark, for becoming conscious allows us to see the whole of reality, not just part of it. Ironically, It is the evil within us that is driving us to evolve, for our evil creates the pain that gives us the motivation to be healed. The worst form of enslavement is the slaves that don't even know they are enslaved, for they have no will to change. As we become conscious of how we are creating our present reality with all of its pain and suffering, both individually and globally, we will find the will to do something about it. The key to healing is purification. In order to shift polarities from the victim consciousness that is a natural aspect of our illusory world into the higher consciousness of a world that has been set free from all false beliefs and paradigms, one must first cleanse and purify their belief system. The world that gave birth to every one of us is a world that is sick because of what it believes about the nature of reality. Instead of fostering love, the current paradigm, the world over, fosters fear and every other negative emotion that springs from the belief that we exist in an unsafe world. Believing we are unsafe turns people against one another in their attempt to save themselves. According to the Healing Code by Alex Lloyd, Ph.D., and Ben Johnson, M.D., these fundamental erroneous beliefs leading to fear reside not only within our minds but within every cell in our bodies. They resonate destructive energy frequencies which creates a resistance to health and well-being at the cellular level. This is called physiological stress. Limiting beliefs are what destructive cellular memories are made up of. Someone who has destructive cellular memories will struggle even when life is good because the stress from painful past experiences lives on within them. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is nothing more than an extreme case of this. On page 98 of the Healing Code, it says that, quote, cellular memories are like little post-it notes that tell the cell what to do. Only when there are destructive cell memories, the post-its are telling the cell to do the wrong thing. These destructive messages not only damage the DNA, they produce subliminal stress in the body, which eventually produces ill health and disease. The Healing Code also states that the unhealthy, limiting, fear-producing beliefs we've all been taught to believe are not only embedded in our cells, but in the unconscious and conscious mind, along with the control centers of the brain. Obviously, to heal incurable, chronic disease, we must remove the physiological stress that resides within our cells. To do so, we must change the destructive beliefs that live within the subconscious and unconscious mind. Once we do, we will rewrite the script for our lives. This will not only heal our cells, it will free up our psychic energy to create a better life. The Healing Code recommends doing this by flowing energy through your fingertips into 4 specific locations while saying affirmations. The ancient art of deep meditation will also accomplish the same thing if one can go deep enough into the theta and delta states of consciousness. Reiki, singing inspirational songs, chanting, Tai Chi, and Qigong are other well-known ways to increase one's energy level. Changing one's beliefs about being energetic beings who are capable of increasing our energy levels in this way is the first step in healing ourselves energetically. I believe that there are several primary beliefs that must be changed. They are, number 1, we are not bodies. We are, first, foremost, and always spiritual beings who create every instant of our lives. As spiritual beings, we vibrate in concert with our unconscious belief system. Our belief system determines our frequency, which not only determines what happens to us at a cellular level, it also determines who and what we attract into our lives via the law of attraction. What we believe about what we attract and how it got there determines how we react to it. Those who erroneously believe that they are not the creators of their life experience will feel victimized by their painful creation. Therefore, this singular belief is of utmost importance to change. If we create every aspect of our lives, we cannot possibly be victims. Those who know with certainty that they themselves attract everything that happens to them, good, bad, or indifferent, including their diseases, accidents of fate, people, and either their good or bad fortune, have the capacity to learn from their experiences, and if they desire, change the thinking that created those experiences. This makes them into victors instead of victims who have the capacity to consciously evolve. The second belief that we need to have is that we are energetic beings who continuously channel life force. Obviously, life force is the energy that sustains life. People who stop channeling it instantly die. Therefore, we channel it unconsciously without even knowing it. However, we can also channel it consciously. When we do, we can use the extra energy to heal our bodies of all known diseases. To channel extra life force into the body, one need only flow it through their fingertips into the areas of their body that need healing. The healing code recommends 4 specific areas: the third eye, the throat, the hinge of the jaw, and the temporal lobes. But I suspect that there are many more. As I said earlier, some people flow life force through as Reiki through the palms of their hands. Simply thinking accurate, God-centered, positive thoughts on a continuous basis can open the chakras to receive more energy. Accurate is an important word here, for it never helps to lie to yourself. When we flow energy into the body, we increase its ability to heal itself and slow the aging process. Because of the erroneous beliefs we've been taught about healing, we do not train ourselves to consciously channel life force. Because we don't channel it, we feel powerless to heal ourselves. Our powerlessness in this arena gives unscrupulous people who claim to know how to heal us the ability to not only take advantage of our ignorance, but fleece us of our income as well. Number 3. Because of our erroneous beliefs about relationship, we have created dysfunctional relationships that are anything but loving, which is how our painful cellular memories got created in the first place. Our lovelessness is unconsciously passed down from parent to child because we live in a world where there is a lot of unscrupulous behavior. All of us get abused and taken advantage of from time to time. Unfortunately, some people are massively abused from the cradle. In time, the abused become abusers, which means that we are both perpetrators and victims. Though we all do the best we can with the consciousness we've got, if our consciousness is low, we can do a lot of damage to self and others in our attempts to deal with our stressful lives. Because we don't know how to process our emotional stress, it never gets removed. Rather, it multiplies throughout our lifetime, and it continuously is added onto. Our emotional stress primarily affects the autonomic nervous system, where it wreaks havoc with our organs. The autonomic nervous system controls the automatic functions of our body. It is what keeps our heart beating, our stomach digesting, our liver detoxifying, and on and on. In other words, what it does is beyond our conscious control. The more physiological stress we have, the worse our body functions. Eventually, organs will stop working properly. Our metabolism will no longer absorb nutrients the way it is supposed to, and our immune system will no longer protect us from disease. This causes us to age. Eventually, our bodies will even begin to attack themselves. This is called autoimmune disease. To heal physiological stress, which is the cause of all disease, we must not only detoxify our bodies of impurities like heavy metals and other pollutants, we must also process the emotional traumas of the heart that have caused the stress in the first place. There are many techniques for doing so, but not knowing what those techniques are prevents us from doing the necessary inner work to get rid of it. Therefore, we don't get rid of it. Rather, it lies unprocessed within our bodies, becoming the source of chronic pain. The fourth belief that must be changed is our negative self-image. As we grow up, we are given a lot of messages about our self-worth. Unskilled parents, teachers, or older siblings can destroy a child's self-esteem by giving them negative messages about their adequacy. If a family member doesn't manage to destroy a child's self-esteem, our shame-based educational system will. We are judged our entire lives by social standards that are anything but loving. Those of the wrong form, who aren't beautiful, intelligent, able to perform well on a test, who aren't physically strong and healthy, or who are of the wrong gender, race, or religion, can never measure up simply because they were born with the wrong DNA or into the wrong families or culture. The destruction of our self-esteem destroys our self-image and causes negative mental images to continuously flow through our subconscious minds. Unfortunately, people with low self-esteem frequently engage in self-destructive behaviors called addictions. One's addiction to chemical substances like prescribed and recreational drugs, alcohol, sugar, can become a huge determiner of their individual fate, for these chemicals deteriorate the brain and ultimately the body. It is the unrecognized addictions to money and power that is destroying our environment, as money-obsessed people do what they need to do to make a profit. It is these two addictions that are producing our global demise. Sex, another unrecognized addiction, numbs us to the lovelessness in our relationships. In addition to understand that we are not bodies, the fifth thing that we must understand is that there is another world beyond the physical world that is more real than the one we experience with our five senses. This is a non-physical world of vibrational impulses. In this world are higher forces and energies that are incredibly powerful, that exist eternally. Because everything in our world will pass away, we create only a temporary existence here. Though the unseen forces in the non-physical dimension are called by many names, I call them angels, guides, and unseen friends. Some of our unseen friends are relatives and friends we've known in this or other lifetimes who have died and do not currently have bodies. Other unseen friends have never been physical. Some are historical figures like Jesus and Saint Germain, who are still very much involved with humanity's physical evolution and growth into higher consciousness. We also have a higher self and soul who love us deeply and who are here to assist us in our healing. What one calls these higher forces is irrelevant. What is relevant is that they not only exist, they are here to help us in every way they can. However, they won't do so unless we ask. This is what prayer is for. All of these unseen forces cherish and adore us because, in a sense, they know that our belief system has trapped us here. They are willing to do all that they can to help us evolve by changing the way we think about our physical dimension. This means they love to give us higher guidance. The more consciously one accesses them and learns the techniques of conscious communion, the more guidance they can receive, and this can only be a blessing. Number 6. We live in a shadow world created out of beliefs which block the light. Our natural state is in the formless, bodiless reality of spirit where we live eternally. In the non-physical dimension we call heaven, we have no needs of any kind. Because we are 100% telepathic there, we cannot be deceived. Since we don't need anything, deception would be pointless anyway. Rather, we instantly know everything about everyone. In short, the non-physical dimension is a transparent world that is filled with light. Earth is heaven's polar opposite. As dense physical beings, we have many needs. If our needs for food, water, shelter, and love are not fulfilled, we die. It is our erroneous, screwed-up belief system that causes the competition and comparison that messes up our lives by causing conflict and friction. If we are not supported spiritually, emotionally, or mentally to meet our fully loving potential, we will do whatever we feel we need to do to survive. Since time began, it has been a common practice to benefit at the expense of others. This has created a win-lose situation that is at the core of all of our social dysfunction. It is that which blocks the light in us that casts a shadow. In truth, it is our shadows that are killing us. Although we can endlessly debate global conspiracy theories and whether or not there is any truth to them, one can't deny that the belief system of separation and fear lives inside of us. This dark belief system, which is totally lacking in spiritual light, is what produces our pain. Inner voice is the seventh belief that must be changed. In heaven, we have an inner voice that is kind, nurturing, and loving. This is the voice of our own soul who cherishes us. Christians call this the voice of the Holy Spirit. Due to our erroneous, shame-based belief system, most people stop hearing the voice of their soul when they are children and begin to hear the voice of a cruel taskmaster called the negative ego. Christians tend to call this voice the voice of the devil. Whatever one calls it, it is the personification of all of our inner lies. If one's negative ego becomes dark and negative enough, it can resonate with and even attract demonic entities that can attach to one's energy field and direct the course of their life. Unfortunately, it happens to people who are abused and who vacate their bodies while on drugs. Although demonic possession is relatively rare here, we all have a negative ego who tells us how inadequate, stupid, and inferior we are. Being arrogant by nature, it will then tell us about our natural superiority to other people. It is the voice of all of our judgment and condemnation of self and others. It is that within us that harbors resentment and grievances. It is not inclined toward forgiveness, and at times it is cruel to anyone it deems inadequate or worthy of punishment. It is the voice that rationalizes our addictions and makes excuses for our lack of character. In short, it is an unloving inner voice that is self-destructive and frequently cruel. Because it has been taught an erroneous concept of reality creation, it does all kinds of unloving and unkind things to survive. This voice lives inside everyone who has not done the inner work to transcend it. The eighth thing we must understand is that birth is not a beginning, it is a continuing. When we die, we drop the body, but guess what? Because we are eternal beings who cannot die, our thoughts and feelings go with us into the afterlife. We have many thousands of other lives, all of which are occurring simultaneously. Lessons that have not been learned during a lifetime become inventory for the next life lived. When we are born, we have teeny tiny immature brains that are not capable of remembering the past. Therefore, instead of remembering our past lives and what we have chosen to learn in this lifetime, that information is held in the unconscious mind. Unconscious simply means not known. It does not mean non-existent or unknowable. For the process of life will bring this information to us if we choose to attract it. Remember how I said that the health of the body is determined by our cellular memories? Although we may not remember our past life traumas when we are born, those unconscious memories still determine the state of our health. This is how an infant can be born with birth defects or cancer. These unconscious memories came from life experiences created by our belief system. Our former abusers from other lifetimes produced the self-image that, though unconscious, is brought forward into the next life. If one unconsciously believes that they are no good and should be punished for their mistakes and inadequacies because that's what their society taught them to believe about themselves, they will attract via the law of attraction parents who are abusive and unkind. Conversely, if they have been taught that they are superior by nature, they will be reborn to parents who will reteach them their superiority. Neither polarity is loving. The things that happen to us are not random. The unhealed beliefs that produce past life trauma is recreated in a brand new form each time we reincarnate. Each lifetime is but a different form of our original sin, which is a belief system that separates us from the truly loving, magnificent beings we really are. Our errors repeat themselves over and over again, for in each new lifetime we are giving ourselves another opportunity to change our minds and do our lives differently. Not only do our past lives impact us, we are also impacted by our biological ancestry, for the cellular memories of our parents also live in sperm and egg. Consequently, each one of us will inherit a unique emotional predisposition that come from our biological ancestry. The ninth and last point I want to make is that we not only create our lives individually, we are a part of a global creation that continuously impacts us, just as our individual creation impacts the whole. It is our global or group creation that determines the limits through which we create. If a society empowers some by virtue of the color of their skin or the anatomy between their legs, those of the wrong color or anatomy will suffer because of it, and it won't matter how positive their thought is or how much they desire it to be otherwise, for they will be limited by what their society will allow. Consequently, the backdrop through which we live our lives is an important factor in reality creation. For example, a woman from the Middle East wearing a burqa isn't likely to rise to a position of power, for her culture simply will not allow this. This is the reason why all of us must work toward global transformation. Because of our erroneous belief system, our world is enslaved to what seem to be dark forces that disempower us. If we want to set ourselves free, we must collectively change this reality by individually embodying a new concept of creation. In other words, to change our collective fate, we must choose to consciously evolve by fully owning that we are the creators of our one reality. We must then choose to understand how we are creating our pain, and then make a concerted effort to change. Once 51% of the population is awake, aware, and fully active in this pursuit, we can then take back our power from the dark forces that seem to own us. In addition, we must master the meditative techniques that will allow us to reconnect with Spirit, or the guides, angels, and unseen friends who are here to assist us in this endeavor. In time, we can learn how to heal our past lives, which will change literally everything in the twinkling of an eye. Because there is no such thing as time and space, there is no reason why we can't go back to the past in the present to heal reality now. This is more than possible to do when one knows the meditative techniques that allow this kind of healing to unfold. When we do, we will heal the cellular memories that produced our present existence. At that point, everything about our lives will change. This kind of healing can end ancient grievances that have produced conflict and war for thousands of years. We can also change the decisions that are producing our present demise. By forgiving the past and letting it go, we will begin to see everything differently. Not only will our cellular memories change, our vibration will also change. This means that we will attract different people and circumstances into our lives. Although we will retain a memory of the way things were, we will not be motivated to return to such a destructive way of life. In fact, it will be hard for us to believe that we were like that. In short, we will have found the love and inner peace that has eluded us for lifetimes. Everything about our world is an illusion, including our bodies and the diseases that kill them. All war and conflict is created out of erroneous beliefs that have no basis in fact. Our entire economy is based upon a contrived system of manipulation that allows a few people to prosper at the expense of everyone else. Our shame-based educational system destroys human potential rather than promoting spiritual genius. Our system of medicine, as far as I'm concerned, is a mockery that may suppress symptoms but does not heal disease. Large corrupt corporations feed off of our ignorance and are nothing more than a reflection of our collective negative ego. We feel separate and alone, alienated from the higher forces that guide us. In short, we feel as though we have been cast out of Eden and have been made to toil and slave away in the hell we made out of our erroneous belief system. To heal all this, we need a revolution that becomes worldwide. It must be a revolution based on higher spiritual principles. Because violence never works, this revolution must be one of peaceful resistance of the kind that Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and Jesus Christ organized. These deeply spiritual people chose to do the right thing despite negative physical consequences. They did not put their heads in the sand, nor only pray for divine intervention, nor simply just love everybody, nor only think about creating their own personal happiness while everyone else suffered. They were men of action who spoke out against corruption and were willing to mobilize the masses to do what was right. Because they loved God with all their hearts, they did what they had to do to achieve their goals. Though they lost their bodies doing so, because of the greatness of not only their words but of their commitment to a higher truth, they have lived on in the hearts and minds of freedom-loving people everywhere. By their example, they have inspired billions to come up to higher ground. They each attain the highest vibration, which is what we, the common man, must also do if we are to save our world from self-inflicted annihilation. In this revolution, information about reality creation will be our only weapon of defense. The actions we must take will be to use that information to heal ourselves. Once we heal, there will be less pain in the world. By transcending our negative egos, who are mean and cruel, we will reduce the world's suffering 1 billion-fold. As we learn to use energy to heal our bodies in conjunction with the emotional release work that will end our stress, we will stop purchasing allopathic medicine and the pharmaceutical drugs that are literally killing us. In time, we will create our own money system so that we cannot be manipulated by corrupt banks. By trading with each other, rather than large corporations, we will disempower them by not giving them our dollars. Once 50% of the population is awakened, we will do past life regression in mass to jump timelines. This will put us into an entirely different dimension. As we ask for help from the unseen friends who are here to serve us, we can create miraculous change now. By passing on this information and becoming a living example of higher truth, others will be attracted to our light. To succeed, the revolution must become a group effort. The more who heal, the more light there will be in the world. More light brings greater enlightenment, which happens faster and faster. In the twinkling of an eye, we can change all the wrongs that are killing us, end all the wars, and clear up all the pollution. But it will take all of us awakened ones who are willing to evolve, working together in unison to make it so. The new world that we have the capacity to create will be opposite to the old one in every way. It will be a world of happy souls that hear an inner voice that is loving and compassionate. Though it will not be without its challenges, for challenge is what produces our growth, it will be a world of many positive solutions that focus on healing the core issues that created the challenges in the first place. People will fall in love with each other again as we learn to build our characters and to respect our differences. Shame will vanish, and remorse and self-forgiveness will take its place as we grow into the responsible, kind, loving people that we truly are. The healing of our world begins with each individual who is willing to consciously revolve to overhauling their belief system. Except for our higher selves who will come forth to guide and mentor us, the revolution will be leaderless. Although a few voices will speak up to share higher truth, they can only be found through resonance. As we climb the rungs of the ladder into higher consciousness, we will attract our teachers through the law of attraction. By following the guidance they give, we will collectively create global ascension. Again, this is Susan Vaughn. Thank you for listening. If you would like a transcript, go to my website, seekingenlightenment.net. Thank you.